Usually when you hear people talking about investment watches, usually they are talking about the big three investment watches. Rolex, of course, watches like the Daytona and the GMT Master. And then, of course, AP, you have the Royal Oak. Really only the Royal Oak coming out of AP. And then there is Patek Philippe. There are a few different watches that are very good investments through Patek Philippe. Of course, that is if you can get these watches at retail price. However, if you buy them on the secondary market and hold on to them for a while, you can definitely make money on your purchase, depending on, of course, again, the exact model and how long you hold it. There are exceptions to every rule. Of course, there's brands like Chrono Tokyo or Ming who release very limited number of watches. They sell through very limited number of selling points. And essentially, if you're lucky enough to get one and you could resell it, then you could actually make money on that resale. However, they do combat against that, so it's very hard for you to do that. However, opportunities like that don't pop up very often. Today, I wanted to talk about 4 or 5 watches that actually are available in ADs. So in other words, you can walk into an AD right now and pay retail for these watches that are slowly creeping up in price on the secondary market and on the used market. I'm going to start with one, if not the best on this list. It is the Omega No Time to Die, a watch that was designed with Daniel Craig, James Bond himself. They went with a vintage look. So this is a titanium watch with a titanium weave bracelet. And these are going up in price steadily over the past few months. Number one, they are not a limited edition. They are a limited production. So in other words, eventually they will stop producing these watches, and that will be it. Now, there is a number of them out there, and there's a lot of them for sale on eBay and people reselling these. However, they have already begun to sell for retail used. So in other words, a used watch is now selling at retail. If you go into an Omega boutique, they don't have a waiting list yet. However, they don't have the bracelet version available. So if you want that, almost no ADs have that bracelet version available. However, what they will do is sell you the version on a NATO strap and then sell you the bracelet version, the bracelet, essentially separately at a higher cost. So in other words, you'll pay $8,100 for the watch on a NATO strap, and then they'll charge you $1,500 for the bracelet itself. However, they are selling out pretty quickly as well. And I think there's going to be a waiting list very soon for these watches. And then when their waiting list starts out, they're going to end up cutting production on these completely, and they will fly up in price. I'm trying to get my hands on one because I think these will be worth a lot of money. But not only that, I love this watch. It's a watch that if I got, I would not sell. It is really good looking. I think it's the best Omega Seamaster 300 professional ever made. I really do like the design of this watch. It looks vintage. It's made out of titanium. They did a great job. Another group of watches that I think are going up in price across the board is, of course, the Vacheron Overseas, specifically the blue dials. The blue dials have skyrocketed to the point where they're almost as expensive as AP blue dials now. They are getting very, very expensive. I'm seeing these blue dials sell for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, which is absolutely ridiculous for a $20,000 watch, $21,000, somewhere around there. But the entire lineup of watches have gone up in price. I own a Vacheron Overseas, which I am very happy that I bought a very long time ago. And that has actually gone up significantly in price as well. Used versions of these watches are now selling well above the retail. And that's sort of that Rolex syndrome. So people are actually paying above retail for watches that if they get on a waiting list, they may wait a very long time to get in the actual AD. Unfortunately, that's just the case right now. Another great watch, so that was a series of watches. I'm going back to just a watch, and that is Zenith, and it is the El Primero Chronomaster Sport. It just won an award, the GPHG, and it is a really good looking watch that a lot of people compared to obviously the Daytona from Rolex. It's a 1/10 of a second chronograph, so it's actually a little cooler than that Rolex Daytona in my opinion. It's a really good looking watch. It has a ceramic bezel, but these are becoming harder and harder to buy at retail. So they still have these at retail in stores in Zenith. However, they are becoming harder and harder to get, number one. And number two, I am seeing the used and secondary or gray market prices creeping up towards retail, and they're about at retail now. So if you are able to get one from your AD, buy it. If you like this watch, another watch that I have on my list, it's just really hard. I really want to buy it, but it's going to be tough. These are really good looking as well, and I think they're going to age very well over time. They're only going to get better. Next is an entire brand, H. Moser & C. I have seen H. Moser & C sell at very drastic discounts just a few years ago, and now all of them are selling at or above their retail price. It doesn't matter if they are pre-owned, used, or gray market brand new. They are selling at their list price, and I am seeing the prices start to creep above the list price. So that means, as we all know, these are going to start skyrocketing in price, I think. Specifically, the H. Moser Center Second Pioneer. I think that's a really cool watch. I think a lot of people don't really notice this watch. It goes for around $12,000, I think, retail. That's what they're selling for used now. So just about 6 or 7 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe a year ago, these were selling for around $9,000 to $10,000. They've already started creeping up, and they're very hard to get. If you reach out to the H. Moser & C distribution channels, they actually don't have them in stock. And if you want one, you have to go to the gray market right now. And there is a waiting list for them. Again, pretty crazy. Next is a watch that literally was released just a few days ago, but if I am judging it correctly by the hype, the Tudor Pelagos FXD is going to be a winner. It's going to be selling out very quickly. A lot of people are going after this watch. This is the Marine Nationale. It's the new Pelagos in the FXD, that fixed bar, spring bar. It's not a spring bar, it's a fixed bar titanium case. Really good looking watch in blue. They've done a couple of upgrades and sort of one downgrade to the Pelagos. So now it's a 200-meter dive watch. However, everything else has been upgraded. It's really an awesome watch for a decent price, $3,900. And I guarantee you, these are going to be hard to get because there's going to be a rush on them right in the beginning, and then the prices will immediately spike. And I imagine that this will be a limited production. I cannot imagine this will be a full production watch. It's not a limited edition, but I imagine this will be a limited production. Now, Tudor have not said that because it's the only way they can go with this watch. They can't continue to make these. It wouldn't make sense. So I think that they're going to make this a limited production run. When they sell out or when they stop the production, not sell out, obviously, that's it. So if you're on the waiting list, you get one. That'll be the end, and you'll be able to sell yours for a lot more money than you paid for it. Again, I'm going to try and get one of these because I think these are really good looking. I probably would not sell it. This is my next Tudor, I think. So I'm going to try and buy one, and it might be one of the first watches I have ever bought at retail. So we will see, and I will keep you guys up to date on that. And then I'm going to give you an honorable mention here. Certain Grand Seiko GMT models I think are pretty awesome, specifically ones with rotating bezels. And I've seen those sort of start creeping up a little bit in price as well. I've been monitoring those for quite some time because I've always wanted one. They're spring drive versions. They are high beat versions. And they have bidirectional bezels. They have sapphire inserts, really good looking watches. Those have been creeping up in price as well. They are not near the retail yet, obviously, but they are getting there, and they are very good looking watches that are pretty big, and that's the only really downfall of those watches. I think they're around 43 to 44 millimeters, depending on which model it is. They're on the larger side, so if you have a bigger wrist, these are great watches. If you have a smaller wrist, obviously probably not going to work for you, but you're getting a great movement, and they are really good looking, really great alternatives, really true great alternatives, quality-wise and looks-wise, to the GMT Master. So anyway, guys, these are just a few examples of ones that I have been noticing because these are watches that I actually monitor. I monitor watches on a regular basis because I am obsessed with them. And these are all watches that I want to have in my collection. I love, or I already have in my collection. I will have in my collection in the future, hopefully before they go astronomical. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Are there any watches that you know of that are creeping up in price? This happens, been happening across the board, not only with major brands like this, but with micro brands and some independent brands as we had. So for some reason, prices are continuing to skyrocket across the board. And sort of the hype around those major three brands, like I mentioned, AP, Rolex, and Patek Philippe, Vacheron always seemed like a logical candidate to me because they're part of the Holy Trinity. The other two watches in the group of watches that I just mentioned, AP and Patek Philippe, in the Holy Trinity, they make some amazing watches. One of the oldest, or the oldest watch house in continuous production. They make some amazing watches, and obviously there's got to be a reason. I own 3 Vacherons, and I've always backed them, and here we are. So I could see the prices starting to creep up. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel. I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.